Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Jen here, and I am ready to fill you in on how the second full week of my Finish 2025 Strong program went. And also I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I'm going to work on this week regarding eating. So stay tuned for that. But if you are new to my channel, I have been on a GLP-1 for over 2.5 years. I have made some decisions on the next steps. That's going to be in a future video, so also stay tuned for that. But in those 2.5 years, I've lost upwards of actually 93 pounds, but I have gained a little bit of weight over the past couple of months. Nothing super drastic, but a couple pounds that I'm looking to take back off. But also I've been on a little bit of a body recomp journey. But let me go ahead. Let me put up my progress. So far, we are 54 days left. So 54 days left in the year. I started this at 66 days. So there's no, I didn't wait till 60 days. I didn't wait till 30 or 90. I didn't make it a 2-month or a 3-month. I just said there's 66 days left in the year. I really want to focus on these goals. So steps have been really interesting because I think that when I have that as a priority, take for example, yesterday, Fridays, every day was chaotic this week, but Fridays was one where literally every time I would stand up to even just go to the kitchen to get something to eat or get more water, use the restroom, I was right back, putting out fires, getting content in place, testing some things. We have some launches. And so it was just go, 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 go. That all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I'm really, I found time to walk my dog. She's a priority. Work knows that. But I looked at my step goal total and I was like, wow, it is 3,800 steps and it is 3:30. You've walked through 3,800 steps. At that point, I'm usually up around 7 or 8, and then I can, just walk to and from the gym. So my totals are usually over 10 to 11K. But I was like, okay. And I was wiped. When I tell you I was tired, all I wanted to do was curl up in a ball and lay on the couch and put on Hallmark movies. But no, I was like, you need to get your steps in. It's nice out. So I got up and I just went for a nice 45-minute walk. I didn't worry about the pace. I didn't even worry about exact time or how many steps I was doing. I was just no music, nothing. I just went out and I went for a walk and I felt amazing. So I think that's one of the things that having these little step goals, whatever they are, even if it's 5,000, 6,000, you're starting with that, or maybe you've made it up to 15,000 steps. I think having something like this, for me, holds me accountable. So I was very, very happy with that. And then I'm just going to quickly run through everything else. Very, very simple. Strength training sessions, I've been able to average 3 a week so far. I'm down 3 pounds. So this past week, I lost a little over a pound, but I'm just kind of either rounding up or rounding down. I'm not going to have something on there that says 3.1 pounds. I'm sitting at 3 pounds lost. Was not surprised by that, and I'm going to get into it. Still sitting at 1 snack. This has been groundbreaking for me. I've talked a lot about that in my last update video where I just didn't know, thinking about, snacks, that's more of a treat. Not I can have a handful of pretzels with cottage cheese or, a couple Marigon crackers. I think where you have to categorize snacks, it's up, or treats is up for debate. But for me, I'm looking at it more from things that are ultra processed, chocolate, candies, chips, cake, ice cream. I know you can find healthy variations of those things, but for me, those are my trigger foods. So I love having a little bit of a number on that. And I'm still sitting at 1, so I'm happy with that. Same thing, hitting all my bedtimes. That has been no issue, especially with the clocks going back. I am barely making it to 9 p.m. I am struggling to keep my eyes open, which then affects, when I wake up, I'm awake wide awake at 4 in the morning, which I would prefer that to be more 5 because that's what I'm used to. But I have been without any effort falling asleep before 10 p.m. And the last thing also with water, I have been really, really diligent with my water. But I just wanted to quickly go through those and just say that I'm really, once again, wrapping up week 2, and I don't feel as if this has been something that I don't look forward to. Like when I was short on my steps, I didn't like go, oh man, I'd rather just lay down. Like it was like, you know what? It would be smart to get outside, get some fresh air, get a little movement, stretch out, active recovery, whatever you need to do. Friday's not a gym day. Just go do something. Maybe put your dog in a stroller and go for a walk, those type of things. But I feel like this has been just a really good set of goals. And I'm also still happy I did not include any sort of like goals around, protein, nutrition. And that's what I want to talk a lot about here. Not a lot, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about how I noticed this week that as much as I was organized with meals, I was just not able to consume, how do I put it, the right amount of calories for me. I definitely felt like this week was a struggle to eat. I don't think it has anything to do with the medication or the dosage. Maybe it's a little bit with the time change. It's also not the fact that like I've been waking up because of the time change a little bit more hungry than usual, but I'm not like, eating massive amounts of food to combat it. Like that's a positive I can take from it. But I really felt like, especially lunches has always been that little area for me that I've struggled with. And I have a couple staples that I throw into the mix when I have moments like that. And I think I have to tap into that. But it is interesting when you think about under eating. And, in this case, I'm on a weight loss journey. I'm in a calorie deficit. You would think, well, that's okay for you to be under eating. Like, that's going to help you lose weight. But really, this is all about fat loss and muscle prevention. I don't want to lose muscle. And so I started thinking about what are 5 things, because I'm always somebody that likes to think of 2 things, 3 things, 5 things, 10 things. I was like, what are 5 things when I think about, even this can be for overeating as well, but if I'm thinking about under eating, what are those areas that I feel like I can control? Now, this is all separate from the goals that I have going on. This has nothing to do with, finishing the year strong. It's just me listening to myself saying, I feel like I'm not eating enough. So I am going to make sure the first thing is that with every single meal and every single snack, I will have protein be a priority. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm going to be eating 200 grams of protein and I'm going to be truly tracking every single, weighing everything and, just being stressed about it. This is more of I want to make sure that with every meal and every snack I have, that it is protein focused. And so when I took a step back and I started meal planning for this week, and if you haven't watched that video on using ChatGPT, watch it. Play around with ChatGPT. I went in there and I started asking it a bunch of questions again regarding just, with under eating and trying to just simplify my meal plans. And so when I looked at it, I felt like every single meal other than lunch was very protein focused. I even loved having my cottage cheese with some pretzels or Mary's Gone crackers. I had some carrots with it, but I just wasn't consistent enough that I felt. Then lunch rolled around and twice this week I was like, God, I want nothing. And I would have a protein shake, and I don't really want to have 2 protein shakes a day. I also had some bone broth, which I love having my bone broth, but that's not a meal, right? That's not a meal. That's not going to keep me fully satiated, especially as I'm strength training. And so I decided in this particular case, when I plan protein first and I've been struggling with lunches, I'm going to go back to my tried and true fruit smoothies because I love them. I don't care that I'm cold. I can still drink them. They're quick. They're easy. It's like Greek yogurt, almond milk, chia, and flax seeds. I use some basil seeds to throw in a little extra fiber. I have a banana. I have strawberries. I'm sure I'm missing 1 or 2 other things in the mix. Oh, hemp hearts. I love to throw in there a little bit for some little added protein and healthy fats. But I want to go because I have all the ingredients on hand. So I was like, I'm just going to make some fruit smoothies this week to just tide me over until I kind of feel if this is a rut or if it's something that I really need to prioritize, for the next couple of weeks just to get myself going. But I really, really feel like if I can very first say protein, I'm going to emphasize protein. I think that will help me. And also besides the protein portion of things, I've noticed that also my meals are lacking. I strive for 5 fruits and veggies. And so I strive for 5. And I think I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 servings of fruits or veggies. And that's got to change. But these are all things that you learn and you grow and you go through. It's like a roller coaster. You have great weeks and then you have weeks where you're like, I don't think I'm eating enough, or maybe you're eating too much, whatever it is. And then I've talked a little bit about this. Another thing I want to do, which would be like the second thing, is that I just want to make sure I'm setting those daily reminders, because I do get sucked into work a lot, which is interesting. When you work from home, you think that it would be easier for you to quickly step away and be able to have like your meals or snacks because it's literally a couple feet away from like your office. But that's not the case, because it's go, 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 go. So I'm going to have my daily reminders again of just, it's no issues when I get up in the morning. When I get up in the morning, I have my protein coffee. That's not a problem. But when, between 10 and 10:30 is my mid-morning snack. And then I'm going to head to the kitchen around 12. I'm going to have my lunch. And then I'm still debating if I have like an afternoon snack or not, which I'll get into that in a second. But then, dinners as well, usually around 6 o'clock, 6:30. It all depends on when I get done with my gym sessions and feeding my dog, and then just depending on what I'm preparing for meals. So I'm going to set those like little daily reminders, fuel checks as we want to call them. And then I haven't thought of it yet, but somebody said add in a staple. That could be, for most people, could be getting yourself a daily protein shake. A lot of people probably don't necessarily do like a protein coffee in the morning, where, I've thought about possibly swapping that out, having that later in the day as like a little fall through. But in this particular case, I want to try to look for some little safety net that I can have and always have accessible, that maybe it is some like hummus with, some sort of like, carrots and celery, cucumbers or something like that. Something that I can go to make sure that I have a little bit of a backup plan. And then I am going to this week track, but not in the obsessive way. And I think tracking is a very healthy thing to do. In this particular case, I'm tracking to make sure I'm eating enough, and eating enough of the right things, but I'm not going to weigh my food. And I'm really just going to, in some ways I call it tracking, but this is like food journaling. I'm going to just write down all the foods that I've had each day. And then just be aware of the things that I've enjoyed and not. So it's kind of like food journaling in a way, meal journaling, call it whatever you want. But I think that's like a really good thing to do, is just to track for awareness. So I am going to do this week. And I think by doing a track for awareness, that's not part of set goals. You're doing it to learn. It's a learning exercise is what I'll call it. And the last thing, where this all came from. All of these, I've gone through 4 of them so far. This last one is what made me think of this. And that is because I feel like I was very, very in tune with my body. And I'm not talking about hunger. Like, yes, I felt like in the mornings I was a little bit more hungry than usual, but we lost an hour. So my circadian rhythm, my eating, everything was just a little bit off this week. And so it's not about that. It's really all about like the energy, right? Like, how are you feeling? So I was feeling very tired and run down this week. My workouts felt a little bit harder than normal, had a little more brain fog than usual at certain times throughout the day. And it's every time I went to go back and think, I'm like, it's because I've gone X amount of time without eating. Like if I had to add up, probably I've had 400 calories before dinner. Like I need more than 400 calories before dinner because I'm working out before dinner. And so I think it's more of a self-care ritual than anything else. I don't think it's anything that's like, adding stress or, making things harder for yourself and thinking, well, I'm ignoring my hunger cues. If I'm not hungry, I shouldn't eat. But yet my body's telling me that I don't feel well and I'm tired. Why am I not eating to fuel my body? Rosie agrees as well. I don't know if you can hear her huffing in the background. But it's just like one of those things where it's not a matter of, and this is where I'm flipping the switch, it's not a matter of eating, it's a matter of self-care. It's about fueling for your optimal self. And that's not fueling with the bad foods, it's fueling with the good foods. And so that is like my big thing that I've learned this week that I want to take into week 3. And that has gonna be just, I've already started jotting down I've got just pen and paper. Like, it's so basic right now, but I'm like, all right, I know what my dinners are going to be this week. I know what my snacks are. I'm moving my bone broth to the evening because I've been sipping on my bone broth. Some people do tea. I've been enjoying a little cup of bone broth, especially since there's a lot of illnesses going around right now, and I'm trying to not get sick because, around the holidays and events, you've got to have a strong immune system. So there's things that I want to do. But I think the missing link in all of this is going to be that addition of the smoothie. And I love that I'm adding it in when our temperatures here on the East Coast are really going to plummet next week. But I will be perfectly fine. I can drink smoothies year round. I say that now. I will keep you posted on when that happens. But yeah, just to kind of wrap that up in terms of like the 5 things that I really want to do this week to just make sure that I'm flipping the switch and not under eating. And that's, plan protein first, set some like fuel checks, some meal reminders, have that little safety food. In your case, could be a safety shake, something on hand for the moments where you're feeling a little bit depleted, but it's a little bit on the higher protein side. Maybe take some time to track. You could track in MyFitnessPal or Lose It or whatever app, or you could just do a little food journal. You could write it down on, pen and paper and just go back and look and say, okay, I could have done a little bit better. Maybe instead of cottage cheese and pretzels, I could have cottage cheese, pretzels, and maybe, some cucumbers with it to just, volume. You're thinking volume foods. And then just listen to yourself, not necessarily the hunger cues, but listen to yourself. How are your workouts? How are you feeling? Especially the 2-3 p.m. slump. These are all things that I've just observed this past week that I want to make sure I'm doing better of. But I want to thank you all for, checking in on my, wrapping up week 2. I can't believe there's 54 days left. 54 days left in the year. And I want to just leave this year strong and set myself up with some really good just habits, healthy habits, and some additional things that I'm thinking for the new year. But once again, thank you for checking out today's video. I will see you all in my next video. And also, I am going to have, it's either going to be the next video or the video after that, my Hume Health Band review. Finally, I'm shooting that today. And also, I am going to give you an update on changes that I'm making to my GLP-1 medication. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button because those are going to be 2 really great videos coming up. But if you like today's video, hit that like button, and I will see you all in the next video. I will catch you later. Bye.